The guys barged ahead of me into a room that stunk of nicotine. An old steel desk stood in the back corner, and a long wooden table ran down most of the rest of the space, with a bench on either side. 5 men were sitting around it, a few of them with bottles of beer, a couple with their phones out. The second they saw us, they leapt to their feet.
Who the hell are you?
Your worst nightmare. Up to you how soon you wake up.
I hung back by the door, my pulse thudding faster as all 4 of the guys sprang into action. They were outnumbered this time, and the men they were up against were clearly more experienced than the drug dealers they'd taken down before. The men dodged as many fists as hit the mark, and one of them whipped into a maneuver that sent Kai stumbling backward, clutching his glasses to keep them from falling. A few of the others yanked out guns. Knox whacked one pistol aside with one of his ghostly punches that didn't quite make contact with the guy's hand, leaving the dude startled and blinking for a second before the former gang leader flipped him heels over head and stomped on his neck. Jet managed to send a little jolt of electrical energy through another guy's arm as he tackled him, making his opponent's fingers spasm and drop the weapon. But the one who'd aimed at Ruin didn't have anyone close enough to stop him. The now familiar hum rang out inside me, swelling through my whole body in the space of a breath. Ruin! In the same moment as my shout of warning, a gush of beer sprang out from the nearest bottle on the table. The dollop of sour liquid smacked the guy right in the eyes. As his lips parted in surprise, another splash socked him right in the mouth. He swiped frantically at his eyes, and Kai dashed in there to wrench the weapon from his hand. Ruin didn't seem to care that there were still a few men not yet incapacitated. He flung his arms around me in a bear hug.
Woohoo! That's our woman. You can't find anyone better, and no one's going to convince me otherwise.
He let go of me to swing around and slam his fist into the jaw of a guy who just lunged at him. A weirdly delirious smile spread over the guy's face as he swayed on his feet with the punch.
You're right. She's pretty amazing. All of you are something to watch.
Thank you for agreeing.
Ruin looked down at his fist and then pummeled another of the men who were still standing. This time, I heard a faint hiss of electricity with the impact.
You should all bow down before us. Anyone who messes with us will end up shitting their pants in terror.
Ruin didn't even appear to hit the guy that hard, but his opponent immediately crumpled on the floor, hugging himself and shivering.
Please, just leave us alone. We'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt us anymore.
I think I found my special power.
He hits him with happiness, or whatever else. Oh, joy.
But whatever the others might have said about Ruin's newfound ability to impose his feelings on others, it did help turn the tide. Ruin seemed to have used up all his current emotion-warping abilities on his first 2 targets. His next few punches didn't have the same impact. But the colleagues of those 2 were distracted enough by the weird effects and their friends' bizarre reactions that they faltered. In a minute or 2, the former Skullbreakers had tossed the rest of their opponents into a heap next to the desk. Ruin declared himself the king of the mountain and perched on it, jabbing and kicking anyone who started to stir. He watched with avid interest as the other 3 closed in on the 2 he'd infected, one of whom kept smiling giddily, and the other cowering in fear.
All we want to know is what you've heard about an attack on the Skullbreakers 20 years ago. From the looks of you, you were all well out of diapers by then.
Skullbreakers. Skullbreakers. What a great name. Never heard it before.
I tell you if I knew anything. Please, I never heard anything about that.
Do you know anyone else who might have an idea?
I mean, there's the Skeleton Corps. They've got a hand in almost everything. But even they aren't as scary as you.
Knox glanced at Kai.
Why hasn't anyone mentioned the Skeleton Corps to us before if they're so important?
We didn't ask about them.
Where can we find them?
Around. All different places. They move their headquarters all the time.
You want to hang with them? Just put the word out on the street.
Great. I wonder how long these 2 are going to be stuck like this.
Their problem, not ours. We got what we need out of these dorks.
Ruin scrambled down his human mountain to join us, and we walked out of the club.